report is long overdue, but it's all in IRS timing. And so it's in two parts, and we're gonna start with part one. So one of my big three goals as a district governor was resolving our tax issue. And the reason for that was when I was considering running, I started attending meetings in the district that were of particular interest to me. And one of those meetings was supposed to address this topic specifically. And that meeting turned disastrous. There was finger pointing and name calling, and it got loud, and very moment I said to myself, if I ever could do anything, I'm gonna try to fix this. So, it was a second, then a first, and then I became governor, and as a governor, that gave me access to all of the bank accounts. I could go to IRS and ask for certain information. I could go to LCI and ask for information, and I was in a better capacity. In order to start this whole process, I had to make a team that I knew could help me, because I'm not an expert at this at all. In fact, finances were my weakest part of becoming a governor, to be honest. And so the first thing I did was have lunch with this guy. This is Lion Irv Kirshner from the Palos Verdes Peninsula Lions Club, and I named him my financial integrity officer. Lion Irv is an attorney. Has a working knowledge of his own club's finances and tax situation, and he was just really eager to help. He was a good guy. He's a good lion. So that's where we began. Irv and I had several meetings together before we ended up agreeing to take his suggestion of hiring a qualified legal team that could help us through this process, because we were suspended for over a decade. The law for the nonprofits, which
we all tend to use our iPhones a little too much sometimes, and in iOS 12, Apple is trying to help us strike a healthier balance. In this video, we are taking a look at the new screen time feature in
asked that
iOS
Lion
12.
Irv be included in that call because he would be there for clarification if necessary. He would have no voting right, though, on that call. The rest of the past district governors voted. I asked for $8,500. That was the quote from the law firm. Since this matter was since the whole issue was a matter of previous predecessor governors, I felt the only fair thing to do would be to take this money out of our reserve account, which is more commonly known as our past district governor account. And I believe those were the proper funds and the proper way to utilize it. Following many questions and some hesitation by the PDGs, they granted me the funds. Again, with Lion Irv by my side, we signed the retainer with the attorney in September of 2016. In October, we were asked to gather the previous 3 years' worth of finance information, and we got it from those 3 previous district governors. We took whatever they were able to give us, we brought it to our very mindful attorney, and he recreated tax forms, and we submitted those tax forms along with our founding papers and our application for reinstatement, and that took place on December 16, 2016. So all of the work that we did to get this boat moving forward happened during December of my year. At that point, the attorney said, you know, we did everything we can do, it's now in the IRS hands. And so we sit and wait. And we waited, and we waited, and we waited, and it felt like an eternity. January 30th, 2017 came, I stepped down as governor, and there was still no word from the IRS. That was really hard. I remained in close contact with the attorney this whole time. Finally, in January of 2018, the letter arrived to our P.O. box, and in the meantime, I forgot to put this part in. We had to open a P.O. box for our district. I opened it at the Wagner branch, which is located direct center of our geographical boundaries. So that would be a consideration for all future governors, and we have to keep it. So all future governors have to drive the same distance to get there. Jubilation, a letter arrived, and the letter, I'm gonna say, oh, did I bring it? Oh, I may not have brought the letter, but the letter basically says we were reinstated And not only were we reinstated, we were tax exempt going back to when we were suspended, so it was all retroactive. That happened in January 2018, so just last January, all right? Now, oh, here's the letter. I just want to read that one sentence. We're pleased to tell you we determined you're exempt from federal income tax under Internal Revenue Code 501c4. Based on the information you submitted, in your application, we approve your request for reinstatement under the Revenue Code for 2014-11. Your effective date of exemption, as listed at the top of this letter, January 18th, is retroactive to your date of revocation. So that was happy. We were all elated.
All right.
Now that was only the first part. Now comes part two. So Mike, I'm gonna give you $20 if I need it. Once we rectified the situation, we had to file taxes. And there was nothing to go on because taxes were not done for many, many years. Or if they were, they just weren't accepted. Definitely governors tried to do their taxes, but they were not accepted because we were suspended. So that's when we had to form the next team. And the next team that Irv and I formed together was called our Extended Tax Team. And it starts with past district cabinet secretary, cabinet treasurer, Emmy Manansala, who kept the cleanest, most accurate accounts, was audited and praised for her exemplary bookkeeping by the district audit committee. Because her books were so crystal clear, it was easy to extrapolate the figures we needed to file our taxes. You know, Emmy is very sweet and very soft-spoken, but she loves a punch when it comes to finances and taxes. The second person on our team was Tita James, served as assistant treasurer without that formal title throughout my entire governor year and proved indispensable during this tax process. She donated so much of her time to the cause, and she offered her beautiful, I think 16th floor office with incredible views to be used as our workstation for our tax preparation and final mailing certified. Tita, Emmy, and I had many early meetings in this building in its cafe in the lobby. Earlier in the filing process, we began to second guess ourselves. It was still us three and a little bit Irv by phone at this point, because now we're just doing taxes. And we started feeling really insecure. So what did I do? I called on Irv again and asked for more sage advice. He thought he was finished with just the resurrection of our district, but that was not the case. Irv immediately put me in touch with an incredible lion from his club named Lion Dan Smith. I'm sorry Dan's not here today because he just was so helpful. I did not know Lion Dan prior to this time, but Irv assured me that Dan had the experience and that he would help if he could. Boy, was Irv right. Lion Dan showed up to a meeting with the rest of us and went to work. 5 hours later, that same day we departed, and Dan went home and that evening put together our forms, then emailed them to all of us for review and comment. Our tax team again met the following Sunday because we still had lots of questions. At Emmy's suggestion, we added another expert. We added Nick Mananhaya, whose experience includes nonprofit filings such as for groups like the Knights of Columbus. So with Nick on board, we spent another 5 or 6 hours working. And on that same evening, Dan went home again, did the forms, and faxed them or emailed them all to us. It was such a brain day that I had to sleep. So the next morning I woke up and I reviewed everything and I had questions. So what did I do? I called Lion Dan. His phone rang several times and then he finally answered. When he did pick it up, he sounded so out of sorts that I was uncertain that it was actually Dana. It turns out that Dan took my call as he was on the way to the emergency room, where he was admitted and passed several kidney stones. Wow. I was shocked that he even took my call, and I felt guilty that we worked him into this condition. It really was shocking because he had eaten the Sizzler salad bar with all the rest of us that same day and nothing happened to us. So now with Dan down and with Irv on a short, weekend trip, Emmy, Tita, Nick by telephone, and myself were left to finish. We're 4 days away from deadline day, guys. Our date was May, we got a courtesy, May 15th date to file these taxes because we just got approved in January. Now this was about 4 days or 5 days away from this date. So we meet. And finally, we went for broke. We filed. We just did it. We just finished what we were doing. We looked at it. We second guessed ourselves 600 times. And finally we said, it's not, we're just gonna go for it. So we sent them in. We sent in the 990EZ form with Schedule O and G, 2 schedules. That's 9 pages. And we did, that was for the IRS. And then we did the 199 tax form, which was another 4 pages for the state of California. A certain amount of time had to pass before the attorney could confirm that our filings had been accepted. Once he did, our mighty little tax team became euphoric. So our taxes were accepted, which is great news. So, every district governor going forward is responsible for filing taxes. The date will be November 15th every year. In fact, it's stated the 15th day of the month after the end of the annual accounting month. So for us, that does mean November 15th. I signed forms for 2016. Immediate past district governor B will sign for 2017. And they should look similar so that our district is consistent, and they should. The IRS asks for names of the incoming governors 2 years out, so that they have this advanced knowledge. It's not like they know what line's business is, but because they've got used to how we operate, they look for who's gonna be the next person named to be sending them in. The most important part of this report, the total cost to the district to resolve this situation was $7,662. Not a penny more, not a penny less. We came in under budget, as I initially asked for $8,500. I was told that a rumor went around the district around $35,000 to $50,000, and that was just absolutely false and funny, actually. I will state with absolute certainty that the accurate number is the number I just said, 7662.00, and no other number. The second bank check, we had two, that was one bank check, and that we gave right initially at the signing of the contract. The second bank check that we had to draw was prepared for $875, and that was for additional services related to the tax filing, but outside of the scope of the attorney's fee. The check was never needed, so therefore I am returning that check, live check, even though it's old, to past District Governor Ken for redeposit into our reserve account. He'll give it to his treasurer, and that $850 will go back into $850 will go back into the reserve. I would like to add, the only one that's here I know of is Teddy, because Tita, because Emmy couldn't be here today, and Lion Dan couldn't be here today, and of course Irv is here. I just want Tita to stand up, and Irv, because honestly this took 2.5 years to get done, and these lines still work long after this. Finally, I want to thank the past district governors who entrusted me so early on to succeed with this issue, and I also want to thank you, the district membership, for your patience with this long and tedious process. We three stand here, and the rest of the team, if they were here, we here tell you, mission accomplished.